Hello and welcome to the show. This is Everything Under the Sun. My name is Ty. I hope all are doing amazing today, taking care of yourselves the best way you know how to, and loving yourself the most that you know how to. And allowing yourself peace and joy in this life, in your life, it's something so incredible to allow that for ourselves. And allow yourself to value yourself for being exactly who you are, for just being in general. I was speaking to a friend the other day about athletes, and specifically Tom Brady, and he was speaking about all these accomplishments that he had achieved and all these successes that he's had, and speaking about how much he valued him for those things. And I asked him, why does he not value him for him just being, for him just existing? And it started to make me think about this world that we live in, this society that we've been raised in, to believe that our value is based on the successes that we have. Whether that's a success in thinking a certain way or having a certain state of being, or the success in a certain beauty standard or body type, or having success in a certain amount of money or degree or fame or fortune or followers. And all these things are untrue. Our value is beyond what anything in this world can bring us. Our value is beyond that. We are valuable just for being who we are, for just being. And it's so unfortunate that even that statement is something that many people will reject. Many people will look at others and say, you are less than me because you only have $1 in your pocket and I have 100. And then the discretion goes within where this person feels that, oh, I only have $100 and that person has 1,000. We're basing ourselves off of these outside sources, off of these achievements that we gain, and not valuing ourselves for just being who we are. And this is where so much of an issue with self-love comes from, because we're adding conditions on how much we love and value ourselves. It's time for us to let down those expectations that the world has set upon us. It's time for us to let down the belief that our value comes from anywhere else except for just being who we are, for existing. And this is something that it can be a very hard thing to break within us, within our mindset, because it goes into so many different avenues. Again, it can be the value of the thoughts that we hold. As we go through this process, it can be something that seems like we're moving forward, and then it seems like we're going backwards. And as I said before, there is no going backwards, because each time we go back into a certain state of mind or state of being, we bring with us the thoughts and beliefs that we've started to move forward with. But many may feel as though that going back to a certain cycle or a certain habit, it can be something that is looked at as a devaluation because you've done something that you feel is wrong. And that is not valuing ourselves for just being. Valuing ourselves for just being is accepting all the things that are coming into our experience. Value yourself for having the thoughts that you have. Value yourself even with all the feelings that come up. Value yourself with every decision that you make. And this value translates into love, indiscriminate love, unconditional love. That's what we're looking for, and it's starting by looking at ourselves and wondering, how much of ourselves are we basing our value on? How much of ourselves are we loving or removing love from ourselves from because of this thing outside of us? It's up to us to look at those things and decide whether or not we want to hold on to them. Decide whether or not we want our value to be based on that. Decide whether or not we want the love that we feel within ourselves to be based on the achievements that we make. And so often we can be pressured by friends and family, relatives and spouses, and feelings as though we need to accomplish something to make our family proud, or to do something that allows us to stand out above the rest. And all of the accomplishments that people achieve in the world, those are incredible, but it doesn't change the value that they've held since they were born. Everyone born into this world has the potential for anything that they imagine. And all the things that they achieve, that's incredible, but the value that they've had was set from the moment that they were birthed into this world. And even before that, we have to remember the value of just our being. And we're slowly moving back to that as we start to reject ideas of beauty standards, as we start to reject ideas of persecution and judgment upon others, as we start to reject the idea of being against other people in this world, as we start to find communion with one another, as we start to find love with one another, and realizing that we ourselves, we want peace and love and happiness, and we want that done indiscriminately. We want that to be unconditional. That means without conditions. It doesn't matter if you have $1 in your pocket or $100 in your pocket. You're valued just the same. It doesn't matter if you have a certain body type or another. You're valued just the same. It doesn't matter what beliefs you hold religiously. You're valued just the same. It doesn't matter about the success or the degree or anything that you hold. You are valued just the same. You are loved just the same. And if that's not something that's felt, then ask yourself what's holding you back from that feeling. Ask yourself if you want to feel that feeling. Because we want to feel as though we are valuable. We want to feel as though we are irreplaceable. And those feelings are valid because they're true. Yet the rest of the world may say, no, you have to achieve this certain thing in order to have that acknowledgement. And that's false. But it's up to us to break down those barriers within ourselves, for ourselves, so that we can move more in truth with what feels good for us. If we're no longer holding the value in a certain degree or a certain expectation from family or sources outside of us, then maybe we can start moving towards our passion. Maybe we can really discover that truth of what's within us that drives us and moves us and allows us to love and experience the life of our dreams. But right now, we're so focused on our value being diminished because we feel as though we haven't achieved some kind of status. We haven't achieved some kind of success or milestone. Even if it's something that is meaningful for you, and you put yourself down when you don't receive that milestone or you don't get to that place, that's not valuing yourself unconditionally. That's not loving yourself unconditionally. You're incredible and you will achieve anything that you want to in this life. But allow all things. Allow yourself to be exactly who you are and know that that is enough, and it always has been, and it always will be. You are always enough. You always have been. And there's so many times when I've said, words don't teach, words don't express the true meaning of what we seek to get across. And I wish that they did a little bit better, but you have to feel it. They can do enough to elicit a feeling within yourself. And if it feels good, if it feels right, then you know it. You know it for yourself. No one else can tell you your truth. Know that you are valuable. And that's why when we feel like we are not valued, we feel bad. We feel upset. We feel like, why am I not being valued for the amazingness that I know that I am? For the brilliance that I know that I am? For the uniqueness that I know that I am? We know it inherently. And all of the ways that this world would have us live our lives is teaching the very opposite of that. And we have to recognize that and wake up from that. And we are doing that so slowly, but it's happening. And as we do it more and more, it will grow exponentially, and it has been. The rate that people are recognizing their value, the rate that people are recognizing that their own happiness is paramount, it is increasing. And that is something so incredible. And that is the evolution of mankind. It's moving past these indifferences that we have with one another and finding that peace within ourselves and that peace to live the lives that we've always desired. And to love ourselves unconditionally. And as we do that, we will see the world opening up in acceptance and in love. And we're already seeing that. We're seeing cyberbullying being put down. People starting to stand up for what they believe in. People starting to use their voice and validate their truths. Validate the truth of peace. It's like, no, I will not be put down. No, I will not be belittled. I will not accept anything less than my happiness. And that is the sternness that we have to have in living our best life. Being adamant in who we are and the value that we bring. And it doesn't matter what success that we have. It doesn't matter how many followers we have. It doesn't matter what body type, what religion, what background, what skin color. It doesn't matter about any of these things. You are invaluable. There's no one that can take your value away from you. And that is something that we all have to hold within ourselves, because it doesn't matter what anyone else tells you. Again, I've said people can tell you that I love you, and it cannot be received. It can be something that we even reject. It's something that we have to feel within ourselves to allow ourselves to receive that. So allow yourself to receive the knowing that you are valuable for just being. Allow yourself to feel love for yourself for just being. And it's so hard for people to feel self-love. It's like, where do I start? Because I don't have all these things that other people have. I haven't been told that I've been loved in my life. I haven't been as good as my other siblings in this. Why do I need to feel love? How am I supposed to start feeling love for myself? And these are conditions that we've been placing on ourselves, and judgments that we've been placing on ourselves, because the world has been putting those judgments on us. The world has us believing that our value is based on these outside things. And even people that have these high statuses, have these remarkable records and degrees, they hold a status within themselves, and they hold also expectations within themselves. And these expectations can start to become crippling, as these expectations are based on those very successes and maintaining those very successes. There are people that try to get away from it. There are all these Hollywood stories of A-list celebrities that end up just going silent because just the pressures of needing to always be in the spotlight. Our value is something that comes from our own happiness and our own realization that we are always valued and that we are always loved. We start building that self-love for ourselves by recognizing that it comes from within ourselves, and it comes from just being who we are. Love is always here for you. Joy is always here for you. Peace is always here for you. And it's when we start to let all of the other worries of the world, when we start to let those go just for a moment, that's when we can feel it. And notice what's happening. You are letting go of the thoughts and beliefs of people outside of you. You are letting go of the expectations and judgments that have been placed upon you in this world. You're letting go of those things just for a moment. And you feel the joy and the peace and the love and the value that you hold. It feels good. It feels relaxing. It feels natural. And then we start to say, oh wait, I'm running out of time. I only have 30 minutes more for my break, and I haven't eaten lunch yet. There are all these bills that I'm needing to pay right now. All these stresses, and there are things that we can pay attention to and we can get done and know that they will be done. But as long as our attention is focused on these things that don't feel good, as long as our attention is focused on how much value do we have based on how much money is in my pocket and my bank account, then we're going to find ourselves doing less and less to value ourselves. We'll find more and more that we're judging ourselves and devaluing ourselves based on these judgments and these criticisms that we're placing upon ourselves. The judgment and criticisms that others may place upon us, and that we may allow ourselves to absorb and take in and start believing. Because as I've said before, the world can cast stones at you. They can cast all the words at you and judge you in whatever way. But if you choose to believe them, that's when they win. Don't believe the words that they say. Don't believe that your value is diminished because you haven't achieved something. Even if you don't have a high school diploma, you are just as valuable as someone that has their PhD. And again, many people may hear that statement and say, well, no, that's completely false. Well, wonder how much you are judging yourself because of your accomplishments. As we allow other judgments and criticisms to pervade our society and pervade our mindsets, we will continue to hold that within ourselves as well, and judge ourselves based on that as well. So don't judge others just because they may not have the education that you do, or the amount of money that you do in their pocket. They are just as valuable as you, and they deserve just as much love as you do. So that's all I really have for this episode. If you have any thoughts or ideas or anything that you'd like to share, you can send those to everything.sunpodcast@gmail.com. You can join any of the social media groups Instagram, Everything.Sun Podcast, Twitter, at Every Sun Podcast, and the Facebook group, at Every Sun Podcast as well. And yeah, that's all I got. Love you all, and I will talk to you soon.